عظيم. وقال تعالى وما خلقت الجن والإنس إلا ليعبدون ما أريد منهم من رزق وما أريد أن يطعمون. وقال تعالى إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات كانت لهم جنات الفردوس نزلا خالدين فيها لا يبغون عنها حولا قل لو كان البحر مدادا لكلمات ربي لنفد البحر قبل أن تنفد كلمات ربي ولو جئنا بمثله مددا قل إنما أنا بشر مثلكم يوحى إلي أنما إلهكم إله واحد فمن كان يرجو لقاء ربه فليعمل عملا صالحا ولا يشرك بعبادة ربه أحدا. صدق الله مولانا العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الأمي الكريم ونحن على ما قال ربنا وخالقنا ورازقنا من الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. Respected elders, brothers, friends, young ones, ladies, at the moment everybody is listening at home. Normally we say ladies listening at home, but now it's ladies and gents both listening at home. We are all going through this testing time of lockdown, COVID-19. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us some relief quickly, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the opportunity to do something worthwhile while we are at home. There are lots of things which we can do in solitude. Think of those who are in prison, who were in prison, and who worked so hard in prison. Shaykh Hind Maulana Mahmud Hassan Deobandi Rahmatullahi alayhi was in prison. Ramadan came and Taraweeh. What will happen about Taraweeh? And Hazrat Maulana Hussain Ahmad Madani Rahmatullahi alayhi memorized the Quran while he was there. He would memorize a juz a day and then lead Hazrat Shaykh Hind in Taraweeh. That means if we are in this lockdown, we can become Hafiz. While you are at home, try and become Hafiz, learn Quran. And those who are Hafiz, you've got opportunity to make your Quran pakka, because you have to lead Taraweeh at home. So there are lots of things that you can do. Hazrat Shaykhul Islam Maulana Hussain Ahmad Madani Rahmatullahi alayhi used to do khidmat of his Shaykh. Malta is near Italy. It's like Europe, and it's cold. The jail was cold as well, and the water was very cold too. They didn't have any hot water system. So when Shaykhul Hind Rahmatullahi would get up for Tahajjud time, the water would be cold, he would be shivering. So Hazrat Shaykhul Islam Maulana Hussain Ahmad Madani Rahmatullahi would take a lota of water, put it in his lap and put his feet up and keep it close to himself throughout the night. So due to the warmth of his body, the water would get warm and he would offer that to Hazrat Shaykhul Hind for wuzu at suhoor time. So Hazrat Shaykhul Islam Rahmatullahi did so much khidmat, and it is there that he became Shaykhul Islam. And he became who he was. He was Hazrat Maulana Hussain Ahmad Madani beforehand, but this khidmat of his Shaykh for nearly 2 years is what, कहते हैं ना, kundan bana diya. It what brought him that shine and gloss in him. The diamond could be rough, but once it's polished, it becomes sharp and it becomes illuminated and shiny. So there are many rough diamonds out there, and we need to polish them. And Ramadan is to polish those diamonds. And all this effort and hard work, bayanat from ulama, sulaha, mashayikh are to polish you. Hazrat Maulana Hussain Ahmad Madani, Hazrat Shaykh Maulana Ashraf Ali Thanvi Rahmatullah Alayhi says that Ramadan is a great ni'mat and blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because Ramadan is a month which brings many people who are at the lowest of the low and on the brink of destruction. Ramadan pulls them up and takes them to the highest of the high. And Ramadan makes them among the mahbubeen and maqbooleen and muqarrabeen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. After they had destroyed themselves through sinning and disobedience and evil deeds. So Ramadan comes and polishes them, cleanses them, purifies them. So Ramadan is a month of taharat, purification. One of the reasons this month is named Ramadan is that Ramadan in Arabic means to be hot, and Ramdha means the heat of the midday. It's called Ramdha. And the month of Ramadan burns away the sins of the sinners. That's why it's called Ramadan. So Ramadan is a moment to rectify our conditions and improve ourselves. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this beautiful blessed month. So we need to increase the effort from our side when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there for the taking. As the hadith said, Yunadi munadin, Ya baghi al-khayr, aqbil, wa ya baghi al-shar, aqsir. That every day an announcer announces, every morning the announcement is made. O seeker of good, proceed, move forward, do something. And O seeker of evil, desist, stop, you've done enough, don't do any more bad deeds. So this announcement is called out, and this announcement has effects in itself upon our hearts and minds. We can't see the virus, or we can't see the flu, or we can't see the Siberian cold, but it does affect us. So this announcement is made, and it does affect our spirituality. And the shayateen are chained. Their chaining also affects us, our spirituality, in the form that sinning. If shayateen were free, then because of the barakat of Ramadan, they would have also worked hard to make us more sin. Normally, they only work in morning and evenings. Prophet ﷺ said, when the sun is about to set, don't let your children play outside, call them inside. Because shayateen spread out at that time. So there are moments of spreading out. And other times they are also chilling out, resting, and they also eat and drink and play and merry-make. But there are times when they work hard. And they would have worked their hardest, and they would have worked their socks off in Ramadan if they were still loose and at large. But Allah chained them and threw them into the prison, so they don't work so hard, and our ability to sin is reduced, and the ability to do good is increased. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made doing good deeds easy for us. We feel that softness in the heart. We feel that gentleness. We feel that zeal to do something good. This is why we see, mashallah, on Mixler and over here, many people listening to the talks who would not more normally listen to these talks outside Ramadan. But in Ramadan, mashallah, people do join in, and on Facebook, and they want to learn. So this is a blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we need to do something extra, go that extra mile in order to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To give us some encouragement, we bring in Quran, we bring in Hadith, we bring in stories and anecdotes from the Salafi Salihin, how they used to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how they used to value and cherish Ramadan. They used to work hard in Ramadan. We start from our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself. The hadith of Umm al-Mu'mineen Aisha radiyallahu anha said, كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يجتهد في رمضان ما لا يجتهد في غيره. He would work in Ramadan to such an extent that he would not work that hard in other months. Though he was a hard worker, he used to pray tahajjud every night, and he used to keep lots of fasts, and he used to give lots of sadaqah. But in Ramadan, he would be on another level. He would always be busy. And many times he performed full months i'tikaf. And there were times, and his regular habit was the last 10 days i'tikaf. Sometimes he did 20 days i'tikaf as well. So i'tikaf, seclusion, keeping yourself to yourself, it gives you a moment of reflection and the ability to do good whilst you are in the masjid. And it protects you from the evils of outside. And Prophet ﷺ himself was a very quiet and shy person. Even before prophethood, he used to go in Ghar Hira. That was sort of an i'tikaf for him. And he used to stay there alone and do tasbih, takbir, tahmeed, ta'leel, glorification, praise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Stay there in muraqabah, contemplation, tafakkur. So after prophethood, he had increased. And every year he would get that opportunity to sit in i'tikaf. And when he's in i'tikaf, he would talk very little with anyone. He would go outside only to relieve himself and immediately back. Even if someone was unwell in the house, he wouldn't stop there to ask them, how are you, how's things, everything. No conversation. Outside, straight back into the masjid. So i'tikaf is amazing ibadat. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to do i'tikaf in order to gain pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, increase the pleasure and happiness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by showing him that increased amount of devotion and worship and ibadat. And Sahaba Kiram Ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'een followed suit. They also used to work hard during the month of Ramadan. Normally, they would pray tahajjud in their homes. But we have riwayat which say that they would pray tahajjud in the masjid. They would come to the masjid and see the Prophet ﷺ praying. They would get encouragement. They would also pray tahajjud inside the masjid. This is why Bilal radiallahu anhu used to call the first azan. And the word there is لِيَرْجِعَ قَائِمَكُمْ. That those who are praying in masjid can go back home quickly and do their suhoor. وَلِيُوقِظَ نَائِمَكُمْ. And those who have not waken up yet can wake up and do their suhoor. So the word لِيَرْجِعَ قَائِمَكُمْ means people used to pray tahajjud in masjid. So they would rush back home quickly, eat their suhoor, and then return for Fajr namaz. And the second azan would be called out by Ibn Maktoum. So there was this wisdom and hikmat behind it. Fuqaha said that now we only need to make one azan for Fajr. We don't need to do the first one. But that time there was this masliyat hikmat for which it was done. And some fuqaha mujtahideen have taken it into account, and they said in Fajr you should give the one for tahajjud as well. And we hear that in Haram Sharif they have two azan, 1 hour before Subh Sadiq and then another one after Subh Sadiq. So Sahaba Ridwanullahi Majma'een used to pray tahajjud with pabandi and punctuality, increase their level of devotion in the month of Ramadan. We see the tabi'een, aimma, not only Ramadan, their devotion throughout their lives. Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib, rahmatullahi alayhi, from among the great tabi'een. Hazrat Shaykh rahmatullahi alayhi narrates over here that he prayed Fajr namaz with the wudu of Isha for 50 years. For 50 years he never slept at night. He used to pray Fajr with the wudu of Isha namaz. Abu al-Mu'tamir did the same for 40 years. Abu Attab as-Sulami did that for 40 years. Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi for 40 years. Imam Ghazali rahmatullahi alayhi has narrated from Abu Talib Makki that 40 tabi'een are such that it is narrated from them with tawatur that they used to pray Fajr with the wuzu of Isha. 40 such tabi'een, and it is mutawatir. It is not khabar wahid, singular, it's mutawatir. Consensus. It was well known regarding them. It was the era of worship. They used to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they would not sleep. And we can still do it. Hazrat Pir Ghulam Habib Sahib Rahmatullahi alayhi, who used to come here, and he still has many khulafa, mujazeen, murideen. Hazrat Pir Ghulam Habib Sahib, regarding him I read somewhere that once Hazrat Pir Sahib Rahmatullahi alayhi performed wudu, istinja properly, and then prayed Maghrib namaz. And then he did his iftar, whatever, and then with that same wuzu he prayed awwabin, and then he prayed Isha and Taraweeh, and then he had the majlis throughout the night, and then he busied himself in ibadat and worship, and then suhoor, and then fajr, and then he went for istinja again after fajr namaz. So with the wuzu of Maghrib, he prayed his Isha and then ibadat of tahajjud and his fajr. Meaning they used to eat little. They didn't used to drink too much. So they never used to keep running for istinja. And their kotha was mazboot, mashallah. They would digest food and they would not have to keep running to the toilet. You know, in the Salaf Salihin, they used to eat simple food. They would not have to run to the toilet for number 2 as often as we do. Imam Awza'i Rahmatullahi alayhi's mother once said to her students that, make dua for my son, his stomach has gone bad. He used to go for a big istinja once a month, now he has to go twice a month. We have to go twice a day. But here is Imam Awza'i Rahmatullahi alayhi. He used to eat very little food, survive on there, never felt the need to keep running for istinja. So Salafi Salihin were like that they were able to pray their Fajr with Isha namaz. So their ibadat, their devotions. Shaykh Abdurrahim bin Zayd Rahmatullahi alayhi writes that one night I was overcome by sleep. And I was unable to pray my awrad and wazaif and tilawat and ma'mulat. And I just fell asleep, slumped in my bed. I see a dream. And I see beautiful hur with beautiful silky clothes. And she is saying that you are striving for me. No, you should strive for me because I am striving for you. I am looking for you, waiting for you. And then she recited some couplets of shawq, of akhirat, desire for akhirat, which is our original watan and abode. She recites some ash'ar and poetry. Hazrat Khaja Abdul Wahid bin Zayd says, I immediately stood up and then I made wuzu, prayed my tahajjud, I did my awrad and wazaif and ibadat, and then I took a qassam that I'm not going to sleep at night. She told me, strive for me and work hard, I'm going to work hard. And he says, after that, for 40 years, I prayed Fajr with the wuzu of Isha. Narrated in Nuzhatul Basatin by Abu Abdullah Al-Yafi'i Al-Yamani Rahmatullahi alayhi. Abdul Wahid bin Zayd Rahmatullahi alayhi is the Khalifa of Hazrat Hassan Basri Rahmatullahi alayhi, who is the Khalifa of Sayyiduna Ali Karramallahu Wajhahu. And he is from our Silsila Chishti Mashayikh. And Khaja Abdul Wahid bin Zayd Rahmatullahi alayhi's Khalifa is Hazrat Fuzail ibn Iyas. And his Khalifa is Ibrahim ibn Adham. So Khaja Abdul Wahid bin Zayd comes in our Silsila Chishtiya as well. And Hazrat Shaykh has narrated many stories of Hazrat Khaja Abdul Wahid bin Zayd in Fazail Sadqat. Many stories of his dreams and his, going out in the path of Allah. In fact, in the path of Allah, going out in the path of Allah, in the battlefield as well. he was in the line of jihad as well, not only in tasawwuf. So he is one of those mashayikh. So he says, I made this habit. Now, remember, whenever we hear about this, that 40 years, 50 years, that is their general rule, general practice. If, for instance, sometimes sick or sometimes on journey or something happens, that's excluded from there. This is talking about their general habit. Normally, throughout the year, they will have exceptions, like every general rule has exceptions, but this is talking about the general habit. That normally, generally, they would strive and make every attempt to stay awake at night. Now, one might think, but you need sleep. How do they survive without sleep? Our Hazrat Yaqdas, Maulana Bilal Sahab Damat Barakatum Maddafizu Malillah Maratibahum once mentioned that he used to stay in Bari Masjid. In the beginning, he was not married. He would stay there, and there was a small room with kitabs, and Hazrat would always be there. He would come to teach Darul and then back to the masjid. He would make his own food prepare, and he would survive on that. So he said once this Tabligh Jamaat came, and in that Jamaat there was this Haji Sahab who used to sleep very little and stay awake most of the night. So I used to observe him. I said, everybody is sleeping, and why are you staying awake early, so early at night, sleeping late, waking up early? How can you survive with so less sleep? And the Haji Sahab said, when I went for my first chilla, 40 days, I continuously made dua that, oh Allah, give me the ability to worship you, and the amount of rest you give to others by 6 to 8 hours of sleep, give me that amount of rest in 3-4 hours so I can spend the rest of the time in your ibadah. I made that dua for all 40 days throughout the whole chilla, and Allah accepted my dua. When I returned from my chilla, Alhamdulillah, during the chilla as well, after that as well, I sleep for 3-4 hours, and that's sufficient for me. And then I wake up early and I keep busy in my awrad, wazaif, nawafil, tahajjud, tasbihat. Alhamdulillah, I don't feel sleepy at all. Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayhi was asked about this as well. He said once it so happened that he was passing by and two ladies were talking, and they pointed towards Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayhi, and they said, you see that man over there? He stays awake all night praying tahajjud, he never sleeps. So Imam Abu Hanifa overheard that, and he said, Wallahi la yatahaddathu an-nasu anni bima lam af'al. Wallah, people will not talk about me regarding something which I don't do. If this is on their lips, then I must do it. And I made an attempt to stay awake all night. And then in another place, Imam Sahib said, I made dua in a certain way, and Allah accepted my dua. He did tasbih of Allah with the words Subhanallah al-Wahid al-Ahad, Subhanallah al-Fard al-Samad, Subhanallah rafi' as-samaa'i bila amad, Subhana man basata al-arda ala ma'in jamad, Subhana man khalaqa al-khalqa fa ahsahum adad, Subhana man qassama al-rizqa fa lam yansa ahad, Subhana alladhi lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad. Repeated this tasbih, and in a particular certain way he made dua. Allah accepted his dua, and Allah gave him that strength and ability and energy to stay awake all night. He would sleep a little bit in the afternoon for qaylula, and he would say that I am only doing this to follow the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Otherwise, I don't need this sleep either. I can survive without this too. Once I read this article in the Times, in which it said that this person in Bangladesh had not slept for 13 years. The doctors had given him sleeping tablets and all types of things, but he just couldn't sleep. And he never felt any fatigue or anything either. He used to go about daily work, everything, nothing wrong with him. Now, you see, the angels of Allah don't sleep, Malaika don't sleep, Allah doesn't sleep. لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم. So if Allah was to give this ability of staying awake and worshipping to any of his slaves, then he has the ability to do it. It is up to us to ask Allah for that strength. Allah, give me that strength and that taqat to worship you and to do good deeds, and Allah will give you that energy and strength, inshallah. So these are our Salafi Salihin. Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayhi is saying this. Imam Shafi'i rahmatullah alayhi used to sleep very little, and he would always be busy in either tilawat or ibadat or education, ta'aleem or writing books. Hafiz ibn Hajar Asqalani rahmatullah alayhi, he would be busy in one of three things. Either he would be teaching the students, or he would be writing books, or he would be reading the Quran. This was his habit throughout the day. You wouldn't find him in anything else. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahmatullah alayhi, in spite of all his mujahadat and his striving and his running around for education and writing, even in his old age, he was running around with students, with the inkpot and the paper. And wherever he could find something to learn, he would go and learn from there. Someone said, Hazrat Imam Sahib, how long are you going to continue like this? And he said, Ma'al mihbarah ilal maqbarah, with the inkpot to the grave. And along with this zeal of his studying, teaching, educating, he would pray 300 rakat nafil namaz every day. Then when he faced that test from the ruler, he was imprisoned and he was whipped and flogged and he became really weak. He used to say, when I was in that condition, the only thing that was bugging my mind was the pain in my mother's heart. How will my mother be feeling? Otherwise, I was not concerned about anything else. The mas'ala for which I was ready to give my life, which was being corrupted, the ruler was saying Quran is a makhluk. And Imam Ahmad Sahib said, Imam Ahmad Rahmatullah said, it's not makhluk. It's a sifat of Allah. And Allah's sifats are not makhluk. Allah is not makhluk. Allah's sifat can't be makhluk either. So he was very strong on his position. So he was imprisoned for many days, and every day he was brought out into the open, and the Jallad would whip him 10 times every day. 10, and he would be whipping really hard, strong Jallad with a whip. Imam Sahib would fall on the ground, fall unconscious. It continued for many days. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought ease upon him. After that, Imam Ahmad became weak and he used to pray 150 rakat. From 300, he came down to 150. Towards the end of his life, he was 80 years old, but he would still be praying 150 rakat nafil namaz on a daily basis. This was their love for salah and their desire for the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz rahmatullahi alayhi, his wife says, I have not seen anyone fearing Allah more than Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. She says that after Isha, he would spread out his musalla and sit on there and then lift his hands for dua, and he would keep crying and crying until sleep would overpower him. And then when he would awaken, again he would start crying and keep himself busy in du'as. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, rahmatullahi alayhi, who was Khalifa from Banu Umayyah. He was born in the year 61 and he became ruler, governor of Medina Munawwara at a very tender age. And then he became Khalifatul Muslimin in the year 99 after Hijrah at the age of 39. And he stayed Khalifa for just over 2 years and a few months, and he died, and he was only 41 at that time. But he did so much khidmat of deen that he is regarded as the mujaddid of the first century. He worked so hard, he wouldn't sleep at night. he would keep his night for Allah and he would keep his day for the makhluk of Allah. He would be in the services, and faislas and judgments would be carried out very swiftly in the court of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. Those things which would have taken months, Hazrat Umar ibn Abdul Aziz would clear them out within minutes. And he took hold of all the mazalim and returned them to the rightful owners. When he became Khalifa, his wife was a princess. She was the daughter of Abdul Malik bin Marwan. So he said to her, Fatima binti Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, that your father had given you so much gold and land and all that. Before that, it was he who was Khalifa, your brothers were Khalifa, but now I have become the Khalifa. Now, you have to choose one of two. Either you return all this to Baytul Mal, because your father did not own them, it was the property of Baytul Mal. Or if you want to keep this, you may take them and you may let go of me and we will depart. So you either leave them or leave me. And she said, who am I to leave you? I'll leave all this but never you. And she gave it back to Baytul Mal. And he did the same with other Banu Umayyah as well. That whatever mal you have taken from there, you have to return it. And this is why they didn't like him. Because he was very strict in his principles and he returned everything to the rightful owners. And this is why they poisoned him. And he knew who had poisoned him, but he never revealed and disclosed their name. And he said, Allah is sufficient, I don't want to say anything. Someone told him, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, you've been poisoned. We are fearful for your life. And he replied, you should never feel safe on the life of someone who's not been poisoned. Even if you've not been poisoned, you should still feel unsecure because death can approach at any time. And he said, if I knew that there was medicine over here right by my bedside to cure my poison, I would still not drink it. Because I am yearning for the meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I can't wait to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I can't wait to meet the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam and Sahaba kiram. When he became Khalifa, he had seen a dream that Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam is sitting there, Sayyiduna Abu Bakr and Sayyiduna Umar is also there. And Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said to Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, if you want to join us, then follow in the footsteps of these two, Abu Bakr and Umar. Rule and govern like they used to govern, and they used to look after the makhluk. And this is what kept him strong on his principles. So Umar ibn Abdul Aziz would not sleep throughout the night. He would be busy in his worship, ibadat, on his musalla. His wife said that after he became Khalifa, I never saw him lying on the bed. Because during the night, he was in ibadat, crying in front of Allah. He told her, if you want to leave me, go, you are allowed, I can let you go. But she said, no, I'm going to stay with you. And during the day, he would be busy outside in the masjid and in the court and looking after managing the affairs of the public. So these were the Salafi Salihin, how they used to worship Allah. Their devotion was ajeeb and amazing. Baqi ibn Makhlad, he used to read in Tahajjud and in Watar 13 rakats in total, one Quran Sharif on a daily basis. Hannad ibn Sari, Muhaddith, one of his students mentions that our Ustad Hannad ibn Sari used to cry a lot. Once he taught us our lesson in the morning, and then he did wudu, and then he kept busy in nawafil until zawal. He went home, and then after a while he came back for Zohar namaz and he led us in Zohar salah, and then he kept busy in nawafil until Asr salah, and then he led us in Asr salah, and after Asr he sat down to recite Quran and he kept busy in tilawat Quran from Asr till Maghrib. After Maghrib, I came back home. I said to one of his neighbors that it is amazing that this man does so much worship throughout the day. So he replied that this has been his practice for 70 years. And if you were to see his ibadat of night, then you would be more amazed. Hannad ibn Sari, Muhaddith, and is worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so much, reciting Quran. Ramzan is the month of reciting Quran. We all know, we have heard Imam Abu Hanifa used to recite Quran on a daily basis, 1 khatam every day. Imam Shafi used to do 2 khatams every day. Imam Bukhari used to do 1 khatam every day and 10 juz at night in nawafil on a minimum basis. So these are the people, they knew how to worship Allah. They knew how to draw themselves closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have distanced ourselves from Allah. And perhaps this is why Allah is displeased with us as well. And this is why Allah has put this calamity upon us. And maybe Allah wants us to return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The sooner we return, the better for us. May Allah give us tawfiq to do so. You know the reasons for these calamities, problems. Allah said, ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس ليذيقهم بعض الذي عملوا لعلهم يرجعون. That these things come so that you do ruju ila Allah, turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You must have heard when the Mongolians came, they wreaked havoc. They killed millions of people. Genghis Khan, he killed 1.8 million or some, no more than that, 2 something million people. Although there were no bombs or anything there was only spears and arrows. But he traveled from Mongolia above China and he went through everywhere. He couldn't conquer Beijing, so he just went forward and he went through Iran, and he couldn't conquer Afghanistan either. So he went through Iran, Iraq, and he came to down south, Iran, Iraq, Baghdad, Basra, Kufa. The Khilafat was in Baghdad. He finished off the Khilafat Abbasi as well. And he died, his son Khaka Khan and his son Halaku Khan. And they continued from where he left. And they had no ideology. Their ideology was just kill, 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 kill. They wouldn't make peace with anyone. Even if someone wanted to make sulh with them, they would not accept sulh. They had no religion. They just wanted to kill, kill, kill and finish. Now once, one of his granddaughters was passing by in pomp and glory, and there was this imam or alim somewhere and few people sitting around him. He was giving some advice. So she approached him and she said that, are you people not claiming to be on haqq, truth? Yes, we are. And we on batil and falsehood? Yes, you are on batil and falsehood. Then why is your God not helping you? Why have we been given this power to finish you off and kill you mercilessly? What happened? And the alim replied that, have you seen shepherds looking after goats? Yes. So do they have some dogs as well? Yes, they have dogs. What are the dogs for? Well, when the sheep are scattered around the mountains and fields and everywhere, they send those dogs and they gather all the sheep in one place. And the alim said, well, this is the thing. You know, we had drifted away and gone far, far away from our deen. So Allah sent you lot to return us and bring us back to our deen. So these halat come, whether they are in the forms of trials, tribulations, mazalim, and zalim hukmaran and rulers, wherever they be in whichever part of the world, or whether they are in the form of calamities, problems, sicknesses, viruses, bimaris. They are a test for those who believe, and there could be punishment for those who don't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. People will be afflicted by it. It's not going, the virus or things is not going to discriminate between good and bad people. No, it will take everyone. Whoever comes in its way, whoever Allah wants to take, Allah will take. But for those who go from here with disobedience and with denial and disbelief and infidelity, it will be a form of azab for them. But those who have iman and belief and yaqeen, it will be a form of rahmat for them, because they will be given the rank of shaheed. And for those believers who are still alive, it will be a source of test for them. So it can either be an azab, or it can either be a test, or it can either be a rahmat for the three categories of people. So we have to take this as a rahmat for us, that maybe there is some mercy in there for us, that we turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should try and increase our level of worship. Worship Allah more, do more, try and please Him. Read Quran all the time, read tasbihat, zikr, tawbah, istighfar, durush sharif, ruju ilallah, stay awake at night, read Quran, turn to Allah. Switch off your TVs and your computers and mobiles and your daily habits. Bring yourself closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is what needs to be done, and this is the lesson we learn from our Salafi Salihin. They knew how to worship Allah, as Allah said regarding the Anbiya, وَكَانُوا لَنَا عَابِدِينَ. They were our worshippers and devoted to us. We should also show that devotion, that ibadat, that worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah give us tawfiq to behave in the proper manner and to worship Allah as He deserves to be worshipped. In many places we see the word qaniteen. Qaniteen means extremely devoted. As-sabirin was-sadiqeen wal-qaniteen wal-munfiqeen wal-mustaghfireen bil-ashar. Qunut means tulul qiyam. Standing in long hours in front of Allah is qunut. وَقُومُوا لِلَّهِ قَانِتِينَ. Stand in front of Allah motionless for long hours. So this qunut and ibadat is what is needed, because it is only Allah who can remove these problems from us. Nobody else can remove them. Allah is the only one who can remove all the problems. We have to turn to Allah. We mentioned the story of Harun Rashid. Once this drought and famine came, and he did everything he could. He spent and he helped people and whatever he could, but the drought and famine was not going. So one night he was restless. He called his one of his attendants, Yahya al-Barmaki, who happened to be his ustad as well. He had learned something from him as well, but he was one of his attendants. So he said, Yahya, tell me something which can cheer me up and give me some relief. I don't know why this is not going away. So Yahya al-Barmaki said, can I tell you a story, Amirul Mu'mineen? Yes, you can. And he said, in the jungle, there was a monkey who gave birth to a baby. Now the mother needed to go somewhere, so she didn't know where to keep the baby. So she came to the king of the jungle, the lion, and said that I'm going away for some time. Can you look after my baby? And the king said, okay. So the lion used to carry the baby monkey on its back and go roam around wherever he wanted to go. Once he was somewhere and an eagle came flying and took that baby monkey away from the back of the lion and flew off with it. So the lion ran frantically here and there, but he couldn't. The eagle took it, finished, the baby was killed, the eagle ate it. Now when the monkey came to the lion and he said, where's my baby? Well, what can I do? The eagle came, came and took it. I said, what kind of king are you? You can't look after my baby. How are you the king of the jungle? And the lion replied that, look, this came from above. This was asmani, heavenly afat. So I couldn't control it. If something was from the ground, some leopard or tiger or cheetah, then I would have attacked them and saved your baby. But I couldn't do that because it came from above. So he said, Amirul Mu'mineen, this famine that has struck and this problem that has spread everywhere is an asmani afat, sultani afat. And the only way to remove it is to humble before Allah. Take off your flashy clothes of your kingdom and kingship and put on the clothes of a pauper and stand, make wudu and stand in front of Allah and cry your eyes out, and Allah will remove the problem. Amirul Mu'mineen felt relieved, Harun Rashid. And he did what he was told. He took off those flashy clothes. He put on, simple clothes, and he stood on the musalla throughout the long hours of the night, and Allah removed that problem. So this COVID-19 is Asmani Sultani Afat. The only way to remove it is by worshipping Allah, turning to Allah, seeking help of Allah. That is what will remove this problem for us, from us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to turn to Allah. Since it's iftar time over here, we'll just make short dua. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك اللهم لك الحمد ولك الشكر اللهم لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين اللهم ادفع عنا البلاء والوباء يا رب العالمين اللهم ادفع عنا البلاء والوباء يا رب العالمين اللهم ادفع عنا البلاء والوباء يا رب العالمين اللهم احفظنا من كل بلاء الدنيا وعذاب القبر وعذاب الآخرة اللهم وفقنا في هذا الشهر المبارك شهر رمضان لما تحب وترضى من القول والفعل والعمل والنية والهدي والصلاة والصدقة والصوم وتلاوة القرآن وذكر الله عز وجل والتوبة والإنابة إلى الله والاستغفار والتقوى يا رب العالمين اللهم وفقنا لما تحب وترضى واجعل آخرتنا خيرا من الأولى يا رب العالمين يا أرحم الراحمين. Please have mercy upon us. Oh Allah, accept our humble du'as. Remove all the problems and calamities from us. Oh Allah, give us tawfiq to turn to you, to return to you, to return to you. You are our original abode and destination. We need to come to you. Oh Allah, allow us to do tawbah, istighfar, to turn to you and to seek your forgiveness and to seek your help, and help us. Remove this problem from us, and Allah, open our masajid quickly, open Haramain Sharifain quickly, open Umrah and Hajj quickly, open our masajid quickly, allow us to pray our Taraweeh in our masajid, fill our masajid with the noor of Taraweeh and with the noor of ibadat and tilawat, and Allah, fill our masajid with your worship and ibadat. At the moment, fill our homes with the rahmah and mercy and the noor of ibadat, and give us tawfiq to remain steadfast on Sirat al-Mustaqim. Oh Allah, give us to keep our children steadfast on Sirat al-Mustaqim as well. Protect us from all illnesses, especially from this COVID-19 and especially from other long-term illnesses, cancer, Alzheimer, liver problem, kidney problem. Oh Allah, those who are stuck by these calamities, problems and sicknesses, bimaris, we ask you to give shifa to them, give them complete and lasting shifa. Oh Allah, those who have died, give them the rank of shaheed, forgive them, elevate their ranks in Jannah, give sabr jameel to their family members, and Allah, keep us all steadfast on Sirat al-Mustaqim. Accept our humble du'as, be pleased with us. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم وصلى اللهم وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى